So you think you want to be a landlord? You might think twice after you hear the story of the worst tenant I ever had. The funny thing about the worst tenant is they always come in like they want to be your friend. This young lady strolls in, she's nice. Oh, we're gonna be great tenants, I'm super happy. I'm like, she's great. Little did we know what would happen over the next few years. I don't think she was actually living in the house at all. I think she was living a few blocks away and she had children and other people there that were essentially running drugs for her. The house was nonstop, all day, every day, a stop for pickups and deliveries of some type of narcotic. I ultimately didn't find this out until the house went on fire and almost burned to the ground. At that point, the neighbors all came over to me and they were like, listen, we need to talk to you, but they didn't really want to tell me because of everything that had gone on, like snitches get stitches, obviously. So they were worried that if I told them what went on and she ended up coming back, that it would be a problem for them. They ended up huddling me all together, about a half a dozen of them on the block, and said, please, dear God, we've literally been prisoners on our block for the last 9 months, and proceeded to tell me about how the cops were there every weekend. There was a shooting. They would shut the block down. There'd be crazy parties, orgies, weed smoke bellowing out the windows. You name it, it happened. Almost like surreal. So I was like, listen, I'll look into it. So I called the Suffolk County Police Department and I had them send me the police reports. Stacks, dozens of incidents of exactly what they said. Fights, issues, cops, people on the lawn, drugs, you name it, it happened. So thankfully we were able to move that person to another unit because of the fire and they ended up not going back. But in the interim, they're in a new place that we can't get them out of. They're now back on rent 6-7 months. There's a moratorium. We can't get them out. They're not doing evictions, and every time we go into the place to see what's going on, there's some kind of consumption of drugs going on and or multiple orgies going on in different rooms. And when I inquire about that, I get screaming, yelling, cursing, and hanging up. On top of the fact that the entire place is trashed, there's holes in every wall, and it was a completely new gut renovated unit that now has to be done all over again, which is gonna cost me in excess of $50,000, $60,000, and I can't even get them out to do it. The irony of all of this is we do inspections every 3 months just to make sure that nothing fishy is going on. Every time we walked in, everything was easy, everything was perfect, everything was clean, and there wasn't a problem. Until we left, pandemonium. The most memorable incident, which I was told later on by our inspector, was he came in to do an interior inspection, and there were 2 bedrooms, doors slightly cracked open, multiple partners of the opposite sex doing something that didn't really look appropriate while the grandmother was hanging out watching TV like 15 feet away in the living room. When I confronted her about this potential situation, she screamed and yelled and said, my son only has 1 dick. And that's the story of the worst tenant I've ever had.